This is my brake lathe. This actually gives me the ability to take the existing rotor and make it like new again, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cost effective. New rotors are often expensive. And this gives me the chance to save you, the customer, a little bit of money. And this is also one of the most visually satisfying things that we do. But it takes a second to get set up. So let's do just that. I'm resetting the head right now. One click. 2 clicks. 3 clicks. Okay, the machine's reset. Now I need my adapter. So this is what actually lets the machine bolt to the rotor. All right, grab a wrench. Just gonna give these a quick snug. Number 3. Number 4. And number 5. So now we'll take this. All right. Almost there. A few more adjustments. Quick check. Awesome. All right, let's just make sure I'm not going to contact the caliper bracket. And that should work out just fantastic. Make sure I got clearance on my inside, which yes, I do. Looks good. Okay, last compensation. Turn the machine on. I'm gonna stick this compensator right there on that knob. And what this does is compensates for in and out movement like this, which you don't want. You just want a nice straight true plane. And so this guy will help the machine itself compensate to a flat plane while it cuts. All right, give it 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, we're all compensated. I'm gonna put this trash can to catch my metal shavings. I'm gonna pull this out of my way. And now we will start Just making sure I've contacted all the places I need to be contacting. And now the satisfying part. So this removes about a millimeter. Millimeter to a millimeter and a half. And we do this. And then it just does its thing. Doing this service can actually also help with thickness variations, is what they call it, but shaking when braking. This is what we do to correct that, if there's enough material left. So I just wanted to take a second to talk about brake rotors, when to replace them, when to resurface them. Typically the way a rotor resurface works is a rotor has a minimum specification. And when you're going to resurface that rotor, you do not want to be at or below that minimum specification. If at any point you're going to go below that or meet that minimum specification, you need to change the rotors. But it is more cost effective to resurface them. And at Dickerson Automotive, we use original equipment manufacturers, or OEM, when replacing parts on a vehicle. But we also realize that some OEM parts can be very expensive, especially compared to aftermarket parts. For example, my own vehicle, I can purchase aftermarket rotors for about $150 per rotor. If I were to purchase those brake rotors from an OEM dealer, they would be about $275 to $300 per rotor, which is really expensive. Brake rotors that are OEM are a much higher grade material, which is what makes them cost more, and they will also perform better than an aftermarket rotor will, resulting in longer brake life and better braking power. It's much more cost effective to resurface a brake rotor versus just replacing it. When performing a resurface in conjunction with brake pad replacement, it comes out to about $90 a rotor, which in my opinion is much better than $150 per rotor. On top of the cost efficiency, it's actually really good for when we change the brake pads. After brake pads are replaced, they need to be seated in order to properly function. The best way to achieve an even seating of the pads is to have a nice flat surface for the brake pad to contact. Performing a rotor resurface creates a like-new rotor condition, allowing the brake pads to seat properly. If your old rotors have like grooves or heat cracking or glazing from overheating, new pads won't grip as effectively, possibly causing the brake pads to not seat properly. Resurfacing rotors removes these imperfections, ensuring 100% contact between the pad and the rotor immediately, which helps prevent brake noise and improves initial stopping power. Not only is it cost effective and really good when you're changing your brakes, especially to get the most brake life out of those new brake pads, but it's more environmentally friendly than just buying a new brake rotor. Brake rotors are heavy chunks of cast iron, and choosing to resurface is more of a greener option because generally a brake rotor can last for about 2 sets of brake pads. By keeping a functional part out of the landfill, reducing waste by resurfacing the rotor versus just replacing it. It also saves energy in the raw materials required to manufacture and ship a brand new 20-pound piece of iron, which can be very expensive just to ship it. Resurfacing a rotor will also result in longer brake life, better braking performance, and a much more cost-effective solution versus replacing a high-quality brake rotor with a lesser quality part. All right. So we stop the lathe. I want to ensure that both sides have had a good clean cut to them. So this side's good and shiny. And this inside edge is also nice and clean, ready for some new brake pads. So now we'll disconnect this lathe and put the new pads and stuff on.